Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Environmental Coffee House, and I am Sandy Shellis, your host, and it's good to see all of you wonderful, amazing people with me tonight. Just getting a little bit of a couple minute late start. Cheers. Cheers. We have a little piggy tonight. Good to see you, Kim. Thank you for moderating. And Looney Tunes, thank you for moderating. Who is here? BB and Melanie and Nina, Ms. Jen and Jean. Oh, it's girls' night. Cynthia, I love it. Selena, Mary, I love this. This is great. Bella, Jeffrey, this is fantastic. Stephen, it's great to have you all with me. So, tonight's topic, not a very comfortable topic. Not a very comfortable topic at all. We've got the asteroid heading to us in so many ways. So many ways. Kristen Rose, hi, sweetheart. Spice One, it's just great. And I have earned the right by virtue of age to call everybody and anybody I want sweetheart. So there you go. uh, anyway, it is a scary time in our country. And I've decided to take a little hiatus on last week and collapse because I love Sarah Connor's writing. She writes in Medium and Substack. I think it's Substack. The link is in the show notes. But the thing is, because we have so many issues coming, I think I probably only do Last Week in Collapse once a month. And we really need to be talking about what's happening politically, and because that is leads right into the collapse, of everything. As I said, the collapse of everything. So it's good to see you. And let me say hi to all of the Twitter people that might be with us, TwitX. And, well, we're going to get started. So, like usual, I have a video I made. I have other videos, and we're going to go over the story. But one of the first things we're going to have to do, and let me get my screens ready. And I have my fan on because it's hot. Actually, it's really hot in here. But I got this fan that's nice, that's quieter than, yeah, it's quiet. Hang on. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to give our condolences to Senator Inhofe, Senator Snowball. He's dead. The big climate denier. Sorry for the applause, but he's dead. Oklahoma. He was a climate denier. He was proud that there were no homosexuals in his family. A real reactionary. I would say he was pretty much of a big turd. So he's gone, 89 years old, and uh, who of us can forget Jim Inhofe's brilliant portrayal of a fact-filled science presentation on the floor of the Senate? Shaking my head. Inhofe is a slime, and I can only hope folks treat him the same way at his passing. Okay, that was 2018. So he's gone, and all of the rest of them not far behind. Not far behind at all. So there's one down. And before we go on, I want to talk a little bit more about things going on the planet while you're all joining. And then I have a video. We're going to open up with my video, the one I made, and then we have another one after I go and we go over Sarah's wonderful article, because I started writing, and the problem is my writing, everybody else is covering what I would write. And I think that my talents and my time is probably best spent doing this and highlighting other people's writing because everybody's saying it already. Correct? Right. So everybody's saying it already. Are you all ready for the intro video? We are 6 minutes and I want to get it up. I'll get it ready and pull it up. You don't have to hear it yet. Okay. So let's get ready for my video. Enjoy. Hello, Nadia. I know we're all complaining about the heat as well. You know, there's a lot going on. Thunderstorms back here tomorrow. Scary. Always scares me now. 100 degrees in Oregon. Yes, Jeff. Jeff said 100 degrees in Oregon. I might as well talk about that for a minute because the country fair is in Eugene. And my brother's going to be there. Let's fix this. And he set up and he said it's pretty oppressive. And they never used to have that, of course. But because tonight is really not about climate change and climate chaos and global warming, it all plays in to what's happening. It really does. Doesn't it, wouldn't you say? All right, so let's go. I'm going to play the video. Enjoy. As much as you can enjoy. Because what are we talking about tonight? We're talking about dictatorship. We're talking about what are we going to do if Donald Trump wins. I mean, we have to start planning. I literally have friends that are scared. And I was talking to a couple of gals this weekend that were saying they are so scared or nervous, being that we live in a rural area, that they were thinking of just changing their political from Democrat to a Republican voting, you know, their registrations just so they're not on a list. I mean, that's how people are feeling. They are terrified. And it's a very sad state of affairs to have to feel like that in the United States. It really is. All right, let's go. Hang on. Here we go. You know, my video for the show.
I'm in charge now, and I'm going to tell you what to do.
A dictatorship is a form of government in which all the power lies within one person. Some power can be shared with others close to the dictator, but the overwhelming majority of power resides with that one person. Dictatorships are notorious for being scary, evil, and dangerous, but they still exist today. If it sounds like a monarchy, that's because the two forms of government have a lot of similarities. However, there are some characteristics that set the two forms of government apart. Dictators tend to take power and not let go. They don't look out for their people's best interests, whereas a monarch does, or at least is supposed to. A dictator may claim that's what they're doing, but their actions usually tell the truth. In fact, they usually take a different title because they don't like being called a dictator. One of the most well-known examples of this being in World War II, when German dictator Adolf Hitler was referred to as the Führer, meaning guide or leader. Hitler ordered the murders of millions of Jews.
Jüdische Zeitungen heute glauben, auf versteckte Drohungen die nationalsozialistische Bewegung einschüchtern zu können. Einmal wird unsere Geduld zu Ende sein und dann wird den Juden das freche Lügenmaul gestopft werden.
Sekt, der Wiener Schnitzel mit der Lagerwerten und das Sauerkraut. Hey, der Filuten sagt der Fleppen, und Tomenia wie sein Strapf, und der Blitzen sagt der Klutz. Hey!
On the eighth day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a man to test the will and goodness of a free people. So God made a dictator. God said, I need a man who failed in everything but theft and broken promises to live in a golden palace and convince the poor he serves their needs. So God made a dictator. God said, I need a wicked man to lead the common folk with hatred and fear. So God made a dictator. God said, I need a corrupt man who is above the law and immune from justice. So God made a dictator.
पुलिस और गुंडा से हम क्या करेंगे हमारे स्टूडेंट हम इधर स्टूडेंट्स हैं हम इधर स्टूडेंट छात्रों को
Tonight, his first and only ever interview, Admiral General Aladdin, the supreme leader and beloved oppressor of Wadia. Do you have favorite leaders, favorite other oppressors?
There are very few of the great dictators left. All the best ones are now gone. Saddam, Gaddafi, Kim Jong, Cheney.
This is what will happen in the United States if you allow all these schmucks to bring the country to crisis, to promise people all kind of goodies and the paradise on earth, to destabilize your economy, to eliminate the principle of free market competition, and to put a big brother government in Washington, D.C. with the benevolent dictators.
Я же диктатор, мне трудно понимать демократию.
All right, so let's walk through some of the provisions of the mandate. It calls for eliminating the Department of Education, eliminating the Department of Commerce, deploying the military for the use of domestic law enforcement against protesters under the Insurrection Act of 1807. It also has the repealing of Schedule F status for thousands of federal employees to allow a president to replace career civil servants with unqualified partisan loyalists. That's probably my favorite of it. It also prohibits the FBI from combating the spread of misinformation and disinformation, like Russia and China, who are actively trying to interfere with American elections. I don't know why or how anybody can support Project 2025. And I know that there was allegedly a joke about dictators and whether or not that's funny, but in the United States of America, dictatorships are never funny, and Project 2025 is giving the playbook for authoritarianism as well as the next dictator to come in.
All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little put together. You know, my little videos, they definitely they're thought provoking. Put it that way. All right, here we go. Life in a dictatorship, what to expect and how to survive. Let's talk. Let's talk. So half of the developed world is walking blithely towards authoritarianism, seeking change. Citizens are voting against their best interests and allowing iconic iconic democratic institutions to corrode. There is still room for redemption. But hope, that's not a strategy. To prevent the rise of fascism, people need to use the very rights that are at risk. The right to free speech, the right to assembly, the right to vote. In theory, the right to bear arms is also meant to prevent the rise of tyranny. Unfortunately, a significant portion of society is too busy watching Netflix or worshiping false gods to prevent democracy's demise. As we saw in France over the past few days, we can use these rights to our benefit. Whether or not we choose to do so is to be determined. Sadly, once the threshold into authoritarianism is crossed, redemption is no longer a winning strategy. It's too early to know what the future holds, but in the following article, I attempt to show what daily life in a dictatorship is like and how best to survive. Quote, every day in the Gestapo I saw people had been broken by terror. I experienced myself how one was crunched by this machine. That is what was so monstrous about it. One was no longer human. Unquote. Victor Klemperer from his diaries, I Will Bear Witness, a diary of the Nazi years. Life under authoritarian rule. Authoritarian governments, they rule by fear. Broad, top-down, and grassroots surveillance is key to keeping the population on edge. I think we already have the foundation for all that. Think about what's in everybody's city. The traffic lights, all the boxes, all the surveillance. It's already being implemented. The wrong person is going to take it and run with it. North Korea's surveillance state is among the most extreme in the world. The regime employs a vast network of informants, and even private conversations are not safe from scrutiny. Citizens are required to attend weekly self-criticism sessions where they must confess any perceived disloyalty, almost like the church. Oh my gosh. This constant surveillance ensures that any opposition, along with the dissenter's entire family, is quickly identified and neutralized. The fear of imprisonment, torture, or execution is ever present, as even minor infractions can lead to severe punishment. In Nazi Germany, the secret police created a culture of fear, encouraging citizens to report any suspicious activities, even those of their friends and family. This tactic effectively turned people against each other and ensured a high level of compliance with the regime's policies. As one German citizen recounted, we lived in fear of being denounced by our neighbors, friends, and even our own children. Can you imagine, my friends, wondering if your neighbors are going to turn you in for whatever infraction they think is against Herr Drumpf? We had all grown used to living in a state of permanent fear, and that was why we were always so short of time. Fear is the most time-consuming activity there is. Nadzita Mandelstam from Hope Against Hope. Now, a key ingredient to creating fear is the actual or perceived alienation. For authoritarian regimes, the alienation pre-planted using social means, with the threat of physical isolation, alienation is manufactured by a combination of relentless censorship and propaganda, leaving dissenters to believe they are alone. For this reason, media control is essential to maintaining a dictatorship. The Soviet Union, for example, tightly controlled the flow of information through state-run media outlets. Independent journalism was virtually non-existent, and the government disseminated propaganda to shape public perception, which I think is happening again in Russia because of the Z, and the military action, whatever they call it there with Ukraine. The government disseminated that propaganda to shape, and it's happening now here. Independent journalists and writers who dared to challenge the official narrative faced imprisonment or worse. The Soviet regime's propaganda glorified the state and its leaders while demonizing perceived enemies. A Soviet citizen described the an omnipresence of propaganda everywhere we looked. We saw the state's version of reality. There was no escape from it. Similarly, China's Great Firewall restricts access to information from outside the country, ensuring that the population is exposed only to state-approved narratives. Social media platforms are closely monitored, and any content deemed subversive is swiftly removed. The Chinese Communist Party, the CCP, employs sophisticated algorithms to censor dissent and promote its propaganda, creating a controlled information environment. This pervasive censorship stifles dissent and prevents the spread of alternative viewpoints. And it must have gotten worse because we used to have a lot of Chinese researchers come over. And I remember one project we had, we did have well, she was part of the Chinese Communist government. So she was wonderful. In fact, when she went back, I bought a car from her. But she was great. But my boss would tell me, you need to be careful because she's with the government, even though we were doing a project with them. So it must have gotten worse there. Propaganda is a powerful tool for shaping public perception and maintaining control. Nazi Germany's Joseph Goebbels famously stated, quote, "If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. The lie can be maintained only for such time as the state can shield the people from the political, economic, and or military consequences of the lie. It thus becomes vitally important for the state to use all of its powers to repress dissent. For the truth is the mortal enemy of the lie, and thus, by extension, the truth is the greatest enemy of the state." The Nazi regime's propaganda machine glorified Hitler and the Aryan race while demonizing Jews and other minorities. This relentless propaganda created a hatred fear, hatred, justifying the regime's atrocity. In modern China, the CCP uses propaganda to promote its visions of a harmonious society. State media outlets emphasize the party's achievements and downplay its failures. Patriotic education campaigns instill loyalty to the party from a young age, ensuring a steady stream of compliant citizens. A Chinese citizen explained, "We are constantly bombarded with messages about the greatness of the party. It's hard to see the truth without the propaganda." While censorship and propaganda softens and aligns most of the population, authoritarian regimes still must deal with dissenters. Disappearances, torture, detention, forced labor, and summary executions are used to create examples out of those who overtly oppose the government. In China, we live in a virtual prison. The surveillance is everywhere. And it is the fear of what might happen that keeps us in check. And that was Ma Jian from China Dream. In modern Russia, political opponents and journalists critical of the government have faced harassment, imprisonment, and even assassination. The murder of journalist Anna Politkovskaya and the poisoning of opposition leader Alexei Navalny are stark reminders of the lengths to which the regime will go to maintain control. A Russian activist noted, "Speaking out against the government is a dangerous game. Many have paid the ultimate price for their courage." So, now that we know the history, let's do this. Strategies for survival. And we've got to have them. We have got to make plans. There is no guarantee. And with the mess that the Democratic Party is in, and the fact that I don't think personally any third party can win, we need strategies. Authoritarian regimes thrive on compliance. While it's easy for keyboard warriors to suggest revolt against dictators, most people just want a peaceful life with their families. Once authoritarianism takes hold, citizens will do what it takes for their family to survive and avoid harassment. Survival is reality, not cowardice. The most straightforward way to avoid persecution is to comply with the regime's demands. In Nazi Germany, many citizens outwardly conformed to the Nazi ideology to avoid suspicion. Attending state-sponsored rallies displaying Nazi symbols and participating in mandatory activities were common ways to demonstrate loyalty. This public conformity often masked private dissent, as individuals sought to protect themselves and their families. And I will tell you guys, no way in hell I will ever wear a MAGA hat. Never. They'll have to take me first. In contemporary China, compliance with CCP's directives is essential for avoiding trouble. The social credit system, which rewards or punishes citizens based on their behavior, incentivizes conformity. A high social credit score can lead to better job opportunities. What do we have here? And access to services, while a low score can result in restrictions and penalties. We have the same thing, basically, which is your credit score. And even jobs will check your credit score before they hire you with these applicant tracking systems. I know. We never did it. I never did it when I was an employer. It was because I thought it was really disgusting and it didn't have anything to do with the job. Anything that didn't have to do with the position you were going for, that was ridiculous. But this is what was going on, and it's happening now. These are applicant tracking systems. Surviving and prospering in an authoritarian regime often requires a nuanced understanding of the system and the ability to navigate its complexities. In Pinochet's Chile, some individuals managed to maintain their livelihoods by aligning themselves with the region's economic policies. Entrepreneurs who supported the neoliberal reforms benefited from the regime's support, even as they privately opposed its brutality. In modern Russia, oligarchs and business leaders who maintain close ties to the Kremlin enjoy significant privileges. These individuals navigate the political landscape by aligning their interests with those of the state, ensuring their continued prosperity, or else, they fall off ledges on 30, 40-story buildings. However, this relationship is precarious, as falling out of favor with the regime can lead to swift and severe repercussions. She said it, falling out of favor. Yeah. I should have had that sound effect, the falling sound. I do have it somewhere, but okay. In North Korea, we did not have the luxury of thinking for ourselves. The regime did all the thinking for us, and if we resisted, we were punished. Yeonmi Park from In Order to Live, a North Korean girl's journey to freedom. Okay, and here's resistance. While compliance is a common survival strategy, some individuals resist authoritarian regimes through subterfuge. This is highly risky, but the drive to fight back is powerful to some, and I know that that's where we will probably all be, because we are fierce progressives. During the Soviet era, underground movements and dissident networks challenged the state's control. Samizdat, the clandestine copying and distribution of banned literature, disseminated alternative viewpoints. These acts of risky resistance allowed individuals to express dissent and connect with like-minded people. And I'm going to tell you, friends, we might have to go back underground and actually write and print. I don't even know about sending by the mail. And if we're going to be online, I don't even know what is the technology to hide. You can't, especially with AI. Different world. In North Korea, defectors have developed ingenious methods to smuggle information out of the country. USB drives containing foreign media are covertly distributed, providing a glimpse of the outside world. These acts of defiance are dangerous, but they play a crucial role in undermining the regime's control over information. And it is true. I recently read that in North Korea, they really don't get treats. They don't get sugar. They don't have access to a lot. That is austerity at the max. If you want to study austerity, look at North Korea. Okay, staying alive. When faced with unspeakable brutality, it is conformity cowardice. In any authoritarian environment, you will have approvers, dissenters, and conformists. Unfortunately, it's not realistic to expect everyone to rebel against oppression. Often we're forced to adapt to our circumstances rather than make them right. Generally, survival in a dictatorship requires one to keep their eyes open and head on a swivel. Below are a few ideas for blending in, remaining informed, and staying sane. So we're starting the journey. My friends, we're starting the journey. How we're going to do this in the event that we become fascist, which we are so well on our way. Stay informed and educated. Ensure you're consuming information from a variety of reputable sources, both domestic and international. This will help you stay informed about the true state of affairs, guys. We are already doing that. All of us do this. And you have to take your sources that you feel most comfortable with, and you have to challenge yourself to hear what the dissenting voices or the opposite side is saying, or else we won't know. We'll be caught by surprise, right? I listen to a lot of different things. And now, of course, as I've told you, I'm reading Oswald Spengler's The Death of the West. And we'll be doing some history in September. We'll be talking about some history. Protect your digital privacy. Tools like Signal, Proton Mail, and VPN services can protect your online communications from surveillance. Avoid sharing sensitive information that could be used against you. Assume anything you post online is monitored. I learned that from my long-term disability case, but think about this. Everybody should get a VPN, but the problem is with that, I'm on YouTube. And so I think about all of the lefty YouTubers that criticize all the time. What is going to happen? Is this seriously a thing we have to think of? Is it going to matter if I VPN? I don't know. We'll have a talk about that. Build a support network. Establish a network of trusted friends, family, and colleagues who share your concern and can offer mutual support, like the Doomosphere. Engage with groups that can advocate for human rights, civil liberties, and democracy. They can provide resources and solidarity. However, association with such groups could create heat for you and your family. Maintain documents. Keep your papers in all your important documents, your passport, your bank records, and records in safe, encrypted digital locations, or secure physical places like a fireproof safe like I have. I think it's really important. Learn survival skills. Consider learning ways to protect yourself physically. Learn skills like first aid, emergency preparedness, and resource management. Decrease reliance on the state for life essentials. Grow food. What do I tell you all the time, which is what I do? Beware that if there is a shortage, food will be confiscated to feed police and military, as these are vital tools for maintaining state control. So, if you are like me, and you grow food, and you can, and you preserve, that's when you make a hiding place for your food so it can't be confiscated. You know how you look at those old houses and you see in the movies all the time how they have those fake walls? Well, honestly, could that be a thing for your food? I mean, to have to live like this, to have to feel this paranoia, I never thought in my lifetime, and I'm the mother here. I'm Mother Earth Gaia of Environmental Coffee House. I am the crone. And I never thought I would see this. So the survival skills are really important. And that's where somebody like Hoople's cat, please, again, I'll put his link in the channel notes. He is a very, very sensible, level-headed survivor, prepper, and you really should go to his channel and subscribe. Hupelscat, Huplescat. Great, great prepper channel. And he's not what you think of as a prepper. You know, he's not a right wing, crazy MAGA prepper, which there's plenty of those. I find those are the evangelical Christian fundamentalists that think, the end of the world is nigh, but not because we do. So those survival skills are going to be important. Secure your finances. Keep some of your assets, if you have any, in a safe. Stable forms that are less susceptible to government control and easy to transport, such as foreign currencies or precious metals. If using gold or digital wallets, a significant amount of wealth can be transported in a backpack. Maintain an emergency fund in a secure, accessible place. And I have to tell you, have a firearm. And I think a lot more lefties are armed than they think. They being the right. And I'm not advocating violence. I'm advocating self-protection. Establish a safe exit strategy, identify potential safe destinations, and create a plan for a quick and safe exit if necessary. Ensure your passport and other travel documents are up to date. Build connections in other countries that could provide assistance if you need to leave quickly. The only problem is for a lot of people, that's really not. I have 7 cats. It's not doable, but if you are you're a rebel, you're a renegade, and you really are in the resistance, that's really the people that need to make sure all of this is in order so they can get out. Truly remaining invisible requires blending in. If peaceful survival is your goal, you'll need to put aside personal values and do what's expected. That might mean attending rallies or flying a flag on your front lawn. Can't stomach this? Nonconformity is a form of resistance. So prepare to be treated accordingly. Do I even have to think about the 1970s ecology flag that I fly off my house? Think about it. All of these things we are going to have to think about. Okay, I see you're here, Alistair. Hi, Alistair. I want to get to a couple of your comments after we finish up, because I haven't seen you in a long time. And congratulations, Alistair. He knows why. So, we're blending in, right? I mean, purple hair, tattoos. I'm blending in. I can blend in with the bikers. They've all become MAGA morons. All right, this is not a comprehensive guide, of course not. Merely a few thought starters to help prepare for the worst case scenario. Let's use our voices and votes today to ensure it doesn't come to that. I don't like writing this as much as you don't like reading it, but with many governments around the world descending into dictatorship, this is the ultimate reality we must consider. Thank you, Sarah, and if you can, buy her a coffee, or I subscribe to her Collapse 2050. I really like her writing. She's not going so far in depth that we can't get it in a short time, but I know that there's going to be a lot of expansion on this topic, especially preparing physically and preparing what you have to prepare, maybe to get the fuck out of Dodge if that happens. People just don't think that this shit can happen. But look what we're living through. I mean, we just saw the Supreme Court anoint the president. And the current president isn't doing jack shit with any newfound powers. But you can damn well be sure that if Trump wins, game over. And I'm not trying to use fear porn, but I really think it's time to look at what the potential here is. All right, I have another article I wanted to do, and then we're going to do some some questions, but I thought this was a good one that would segue over. And because we are a very diverse channel, I chose this. If you think Project 2025 is scary, take a look at Donald Trump's Agenda 47. If reelected, Donald Trump will cut federal funding for any school program or a program pushing critical race theory or gender ideology, create a new credentialing body to certify teachers who embrace I don't know why I'm misdoing my words tonight. I must have Donald Trump or Joe Biden syndrome. God forbid. Can we flush that away? Give me the environmental coffeehouse flush of the day. I want to flush my mistakes. I want to flush them away. Got a lot on my mind. No, I really do. All right, so Donald Trump claims he has nothing to do with Project 2025, which we all know is bullshit, but he has a playbook of his own that would be devastating for the LGBTQ plus Americans and other marginalized communities. The former president's reelection website features a section called Agenda 47, which hosts dozens of videos of Trump outlining his policies for if he returns to office. Several policies threaten the LGBTQ plus community, spanning across education, healthcare, and the military. In one video entitled President Trump's Plan to Protect Children from Left-Wing Gender Insanity, Trump promises to outlaw gender-affirming care for minors at the federal level and cease all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition at any age. He also promised to ban transgender athletes from competing on teams that match their gender identity. Trump stated that he will ask Congress to pass a bill establishing that the only genders recognized by the United States government are male and female, and they are assigned at birth. He then claimed that being transgender was invented by the radical left, though he did not use the term transgender once throughout Agenda 47. No serious country should be telling its children that they were born the wrong gender, a concept that was never heard of in all of human history. Nobody's ever heard of this. What's happening today, Trump rambled. It was all when the radical left invented it just a few years ago. Bull fucking shit. My stepmother was transgender, and in the early 90s she had the whole change with my father at her side, and they were together until he died. And my daughter grew up accepting her because Chris was her step-grandmother, and Chris has become, she went to divinity school, and she has become an advocate for the LGBTQ plus community in upstate New York. And I'm not going to dox her, but she is counseling the community where she is, and it's quite a beautiful thing. My dad died in 2007, so she has had quite a life since then. But you can't tell me that what he says, the radical left invented it just a few years ago. Fuck you. And that's who I feel really the worst for, are my LGBTQ plus friends, because they're going to be targeted. We're going to have to protect our friends. The targeting is going to be horrendous. It already is. In another video titled Reversing Biden's EO Embedding Marxism in the Federal Government. Oh my God. Joe Biden is a neoliberal. These people are fucking crazy. He's a neoliberal, corporatist, capitalist, centrist Democrat. Trump promises to end diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in the federal government, which I was an affirmative action officer, which included diversity, equity, and inclusion training in the university. And that is so wrong. By cutting offices and firing employees of such programs. He accused diversity of initiatives of attempting to impose racist and woke sexual ideology across the federal government. Couldn't be any more worse and wrong than that. Nope. In the video protecting students from the radical left and Marxist maniacs, I guess that's me, infecting educational institutions. Trump encourages removing all DEI bureaucrats at colleges and universities. Me, although I'm not there anymore, and all my friends who worked in it. And all these amazing people I met at all the conferences that I went to when I was with the American Association for Affirmative Action, which I am a certified practitioner in this field, as well as radical left accreditors that have allowed our colleges to become dominated by Marxist maniacs and lunatics. These people are so sick, and the fear porn makes me sick. He vows to take away billions of funding for schools that do not comply, even private universities such as Harvard, which happens to graduate horrible lawyers. The attorneys, all Trump's attorneys that were from Harvard were such losers. As for public education, Trump vowed to cut federal funding for any school or program pushing critical race theory, which, did you ever hear of critical race theory? Let me tell you, I was in higher ed. I was there. It wasn't critical race theory. That's like the biggest crock of shit too. From my experience in life. Gender ideology or other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content on our children. He promised to create a new credentialing body to certify teachers who embrace patriotic values. Let me ask you another question. Are they going to screen for all of the sexual perverts that seem to prey on children? Because there's a laundry list of right-wing, Christian, evangelical, whatever they go into be pastors. Don't ever leave them alone with your children. And then the hypocrites from Moms for Liberty. Oh my God, Moms for Liberty in Sarasota. Hypocrites. Trump did not directly address policies related to LGBTQ people serving in the military, though he criticized Joe Biden's woke policies and political purges, which he claimed have repulsed many great patriots from serving. Several Agenda 47 policies also target immigrants, vowing to outlaw birth tourism, like Donald Trump's wife. Cut welfare programs and end deferred action for childhood arrivals, which delays deportation for children of documented immigrants. So basically, these people are selfish and awful and horrible. And we have to protect our friends. We have to protect our LGBTQ brothers and sisters. We have to protect brown, black, Asian, everybody that doesn't look like me. This is Wesley Clark Jr. on Twitter. I can't emphasize enough how much you will dislike living under a dictatorship. Save yourself, your family, and your friends from a very dark future. Register to vote and vote Democratic on November 5th. Yes, that might be controversial to some of you, and I'm not going to tell people who to vote for, okay? But take the big picture into consideration. If the Democratic fucking party of morons and the elite people on the left get your shit together and figure this out, because I feel like we've already lost. And Danielle, I follow Danielle. In fact, I have to read a screenplay she wrote. Okay, but what about prison? That's rent-free. Will they feed and clothe me if I get into prison? They have free medical care too, right? My mind currently in the bargaining phase about the possibility of living under dictator Trump and his fascist wacko extremist Christian planners. Yeah, I'm giving you a shout out, Danielle. Of course, she's from X. And I'm telling you, if you are very, very choosy about who you follow and what you look at, you're not going to get horribly ugly, disgusting people in your Twitter feed if you can control it. I didn't use it until 2 years ago. And I'm judicious with the friends I have on Twitter, but I've made some great ones, and you've seen interviews. Lyle Lewis, you've seen interviews. Dr. Jane Van Dies, from people I've come across on Twitter. He said, women will become second-class citizens, no reproductive health care, period tracking, no legal rights to vote. You'll also likely lose the ability to rent property or obtain a loan. I mean, this is getting real, friends. I'm afraid that we might need to go through the pain of living under a dictator in order to learn that lesson. Look at how accepting our own SCOTUS is of Trump's crimes. They basically served to obstruct justice for him and then handed him major gifts with their rulings. And Wesley says, I hope not. Painful lesson. Well, Dana says, I'll fight like I never have before to guarantee a future. And Wesley Clark says that's all any of us can do. It's his son, by the way. But the current GOP nominee tried to overthrow the results of the 2020. The current GOP nominee said he would be dictator on day one. The current GOP nominee said he will use the Justice Department to target his political enemies. And I will tell you that if it happens, it definitely is an extinction event. I've made the video, White Christian Nationalism is an extinction event. It will hasten, overshoot towards extinction faster. And I don't say that lightly. It will be a free-for-all, and who can destroy the planet first? And as we know, remember, this clueless moron was a denier, and there are still plenty of them left that don't give a rat's ass about the planet. So I do have another video I'm going to play, and I just want to say hi. Let me get this off. All right. Before I play the other video, I do actually have something. I do want to show you something really quickly, but we're not going to go through the whole thing. But if you think I'm hammering this, I'm probably going to. I'm probably going to hammer this on Tuesdays and do Last Week in Collapse. And I will talk about the climate crisis. And everybody is talking about the climate crisis. And everybody's talking about this. But add my voice. One more voice. And let's do this. I want to show you. All right, so here's this picture, if you can see it. So there is the Project 2025, which Donald Trump lied and said he has nothing to do with. And so we know that everything that comes out of that guy's mouth is a fucking lie, right? Don't we? And sorry, I'm going to use the language because that's how I feel. You know, everything out of the guy's mouth is a fucking lie. He is a horror show. So they are going to mess with the federal workforce, the executive power, the immigration, education, deregulation, civil rights, healthcare, abortion and contraception, trade and tariffs, and law enforcement. Agenda 47, Trump's plan, and Project 2025, they're not that different. So basically, this goes into the similarity. And we'll go, for example, the federal workforce, which actually I'm concerned about. That's the checks and balances in our government. And if you don't pledge your allegiance to Herr Trump, well, you may not have a job. You're probably not going to. What is it, 40,000 people? Maybe. It's going to be a mess. Both plans aim to reclassify, I got to move something, federal employees to make it easier to fire those involved in policy decisions, increased executive power. And in executive power, the executive branch, everything will move over to the executive branch. Both plans seek to increase executive power and centralize and control power within the White House. Deregulation, this is an extinction event totally hastened, fast, rolling back regulations on businesses and reducing environmental protections, dismantling environmental regulations, and promoting fossil fuel interests. Although I have to say that when the Biden administration touts that they are doing the most oil exports that they've done and all that shit, it does make you think, doesn't it? I mean, that's when you think, oh my God, it's a uniparty. But there are differences, and obviously I'm reading you the differences. In deregulation, both plans focus on deregulating industries and reducing environmental protections. So another one, increased executive power. Civil rights, which is so important to me. And I will tell you guys, I'm volunteering at the Democratic headquarters where I live because we have the Equal Rights Amendment on the ballot in New York State, and that's where my volunteering lies. I will do for that. And so I'll volunteer, and we are in a very red area, and we never get Democrats elected ever, even locally, even though we try. But the Equal Rights Amendment is a lot different. And so I'm telling you, that's what I've been doing too. I volunteer. I walk the walk. I don't just talk the talk. You have to. They want to roll back protections for LGBTQ plus individuals and restricting just what I read in the article from The Advocate. So let's go over here. Both plans aim to reduce civil rights protections for LGBTQ individuals and women, reproductive rights, abortion and contraception, reducing access to abortion and contraception. Oh, yeah, I sound like Trump. Contraception. I'm getting myself crazy. And they make fun of him for saying those words. You think I have to take the memory test, guys? Trust me. It's probably marijuana induced. I took a medical cannabis earlier for pain, and that's probably what's doing it to me. What are they going to do about cannabis? They'll probably make that illegal again. Implementing federal laws against mailing abortion pills and restricting access to contraceptives. Both plans seek to restrict access to abortion and contraception, so you get the idea. Oh, and create a law enforcement. It's just going to be insane. I think, like I've said before, in the cop cities, I think they're going to exacerbate the training. It's going to be much worse. Oh, look, there's two of me. It's going to be much worse, I think, in law enforcement. So let's watch the last video, and then we'll have a couple of chats. One more. I think that I didn't do this now. I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm not like these Never Trumpers. I'm not the biggest fan, okay, of the Never Trumpers, but they happen to make a good video that I think we should see, and we're going to see it. I like to make videos. They've got all these paid, probably, amazing videographers. I do pretty good though, right? But I'm going to play it. So let's watch it.
November 5th, 2024. Donald Trump defeats a divided and dispirited Democratic campaign. On January 20th, 2025, Donald Trump is sworn in as the 47th President of the United States. Unfortunately, he keeps his promises. Trump seizes control of a divided government, signing hundreds of executive orders implementing Project 2025. Trump replaces over 50,000 civil servants with hardline MAGA loyalists. The federal oath of office now requires declaring loyalty to the president, not the Constitution. Protected by the Supreme Court's grant of total immunity for official acts, Donald Trump orders the Department of Justice to arrest members of the January 6th Commission, current and former DOJ employees, and political opponents for treason, election interference, and conspiracy. He declares it to be an official act. Trump ends birthright citizenship by executive order and turns millions of American-born citizens into illegal aliens overnight. Mass deportations begin. Hundreds of thousands, including legal U.S. residents and American citizens, are imprisoned in newly built camps. Protests erupt. Trump addresses the nation from the Oval Office, invoking the Insurrection Act and declaring the protesters a danger to American sovereignty. He orders the National Guard to use deadly force to suppress the protests. In the wake of the bloody violence, Trump declares nationwide martial law, awarding himself new powers under the freshly signed American Sovereignty Protection Order, which defines protest of immigration policies as non-protected speech and a threat to national security. Governors in New York, California, Illinois, and elsewhere declare their opposition, promising to refuse compliance in their states. Trump orders their arrests. Trump pardons every January 6 attacker, including those who assaulted the police, and in a White House ceremony issues a new presidential medal honoring them. Many are given jobs in his administration. The Department of Education is renamed the Department of American Values and mandates a nationwide Christian nationalist curriculum for all schools receiving federal aid. Trump, joined by Speaker Mike Johnson and evangelical leaders, announces that the Department of Health and Human Services has reclassified mifepristone, making it illegal to distribute or prescribe, as well as new HHS regulations that make IVF treatments impossible to legally administer. Trump reverses one campaign promise by declaring a national abortion ban by executive order. Challenges to his authority are rejected by the Supreme Court, which has seen new appointments from Trump after it was expanded to 12 justices. He signs an executive order removing abortion records from HIPAA privacy regulations and announces a new federal data sharing program so states can monitor women's periods. Thousands are detained while crossing state lines under suspicion of seeking an abortion. Trump's acting Secretary of Defense, a disgraced ex-general, fires over 400 generals and admirals, leaving the military leaderless. Other Trump appointees purge the ranks of the CIA, FBI, and Department of Justice. By executive order, Trump withdraws the United States from NATO and ends Pentagon cooperation with Ukraine. Russian tanks enter Kyiv. Vladimir Zelensky is killed. It is announced that Trump will run for a third term, claiming he was unfairly cheated in the 2020 election. His Supreme Court ultimately agrees with this interpretation, paving the way for Trump's 2028 re-election. If you hear all this and believe it isn't possible, then ask yourself, what did you believe was impossible just 8 years ago? This isn't a fantasy. It's Trump's plan, and he's counting on you to believe it couldn't happen.
All right. There we go. So it was the Lincoln Project. Maybe it was over the top, but is it edutainment? They don't like Donald Trump. So it's time for talking about you guys. All right. I've got a couple of things. And first I want to say thank you, Nadia, for the super chat. My relatives remember Operation Condor in the various countries, and they were in and told me stories. This likely helps me most by informing others of how seriously it needs to be taken. Yes, thank you. I feel that way. I feel that way too. I think we have to take it seriously. Of course we do. All right. I'm going to put my little ending music on and read the all right. Ah, Keith, now we will be full Hunger Games. All right, Alistair. You thought the video was hyperbolic. In your opinion, it'll be far more mundane if he wins? Actually, I don't know. I had a Twitter thread that was actually really good by a right-winger. I don't know if I could pull it up, what happened to it, but this guy had been talking about not that, I'm not going to read it, it's not going to come up, but that it's not so mundane. And besides, if you're a white guy, it might be mundane for you. But it's not going to be mundane for a lot of other people in the United States. So I don't take it so casually. I'd rather be prepared. Yep. And again, thank you, Nadia. Now, I love this one. Not voting will be the intelligent point choice. What if they had an election and nobody voted? Can you imagine a mass movement and nobody votes? But of course, that will never happen on the Republican side. So no Democrats and no liberals and no Greens and no whatevers. Progressives will show up, but all the Republicans will. So we're fucked anyway. Okay, but it was cute. It was cute. I liked it. Oh my God, thank you. Thank you, Wanda. How sweet. Very, very sweet. Okay. John Glad. I do not know a single woke person. Right? Right? I don't even have to go there. Neoliberalism is a natural precursor to fascism. Yeah, Tommyist, we get you. How long have we been railing against the system? That's why we'll be the first ones that are, probably looked at. All right, so Alistair, I know you know this. NSA taps all internet traffic. That's been known for more than 10 decades. Even this message is stored by my name, IP address. Yeah, we know that. Everything's by your name and IP. Do you have VPN? I don't even know if that would work. I'm not a computer expert. You are. So, yeah. Yeah, it's nice to have Alistair here. Definitely. I know Alistair in person. We've met. Alistair actually was here one summer. What summer was that, Alistair? 2021? When you came and rebuilt my fence for my garden. Yeah, he's a great guy. Great guy. Okay, Marianne Williamson was just interviewed on ABC. She's back in the race. Yay. Wouldn't it be nice in a perfect world, VPN cracked long ago. So there's no real protection. So if you're spending money for a VPN, it's probably a bunch of crap, in other words. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, maybe. All right. I think we're pretty good, huh? The anti-corporatists, that is the most white people are fake white Christians. Where's the anti-corporatist? I didn't see your comment. Oh, I missed it. Oh, well, whatever. I wish I had seen the original comment. Hi, Chris Foster. Nice to see you here. And Dawn O'Leary and Anthony Davis. Great to see you. What's woke? You guys are great. Hey, love you guys. Early love. Wait, love Marianne, but she's not in the race? Okay, we'll have to look that up, but I'm not going to do that tonight. I just want to say thank you for all being here. Healthcare is a human right. Let the NSA tap. Right? Rebellious. Fuck you. I mean, really. Where's the psychedelic community in this conversation? Hey, I'm the psychedelic community, man. I'm the cool psychedelic community. Although I don't do psychedelic anymore. Hey, Orb Viewer. Nice to see you too. And all right. You think Cenk will get back in the race? I'm not voting for him. Oh my God. And people are asking what woke is. It's a stupid term. It used to be like people would say, yeah, we woke, blah, back in years ago. And then the right, they co-opted it. So anyway. All right, guys. Well, it is time for me to bid you adieu. I think that we all have a lot to think about. Preparation, preparing ourselves, talking to our friends, getting a little community around us. But this is not the first or the last time I'm going to be talking about this. And perhaps Hoople's cat could be my guest and we can talk about preparation. He's in Canada, so he's fine right now. But we do know that Canada, as Vegematic channel, Veg, the aging hippie, I think he calls himself now, said, yeah, he said it's permeating over the border. But maybe we'll do a leftward, maybe something will happen that's hopium. And what happened in France could be replicated here. What happened in the UK? We don't know. Don't know, guys. We don't know. But anyway, it's been great. I love you guys. And I will see you tomorrow night. Is Wednesday on Left Past 10, where I am sure we're going to have a lot to talk about. Yep. So, yeah. Thank you. Peace out. Love you. And it's not a phony love you. It's a I really care about you. So if the word love is too much, I care about you. Because you guys are all my friends. Because we're a small channel. And don't forget, like, subscribe, join, buy me a coffee, all that good shit. I want to do some membership stuff just for you guys.